Hello, my name is Caroline Hernandez, and I'll be discussing chapters 14 through 19, and I'll be discussing the perspective gains I got in from the last couple of the chapters from the book. So, beginning to read chapters 14 and 15, it's known that a simulation is impossible for the Hmong, and an example would that be for Leah. An example that would be Leah's mother and father, because they in the chapters. Sorry, my bad. You can see them sticking to their own culture and beliefs without adopting many of the features of the American culture. Additionally, it is consistent with the history of Hmong tenacity that Fadiman describes in the chapters War and Flight. Fadiman keeps examining the Hmong people's fortitude while also highlighting how difficult it was for them to enter a nation they didn't want to be in and that they weren't accepted in the first place. The Hmong are less likely to give up their own ideals in favor of American lifestyles that are completely foreign to them and that they actually find unappealing due to isolation and cultural displacement. So going into Leah's story in the final chapters, Fadiman acknowledges that it appears as though Leah's soul had actually left her body before simply mentioning how her health quickly improved once she was discharged from the hospital and her parents began treating her in the traditional Hmong manners. This opens Fadiman up to the possibility that the Lees were correct about what Leah needed. And also, I found it touching how, Peggy and Neil, the Western doctors, and her family, Leah's mom and dad, they connected and they compromised. And it was something that it's the kind of emotional outpouring that Leah originally needed, which was the family and the Western doctors coming together and compromising. And I think when they hugged out and there was a few tears, it showed that they pushed their culture and beliefs aside, and they were coming together as human beings and synthesizing, I think is the word, empathizing with them as human beings. Fadiman mentions Fadiman maintains a mostly unbiased stance that there's no one or nothing to blame. Like, you can't blame the doctors for trying their own way while also having the family try to figure out how to help her in their own cultural way. And it's just what to blame was like the gap in their culture that was unbridgeable. And then what got my attention was I think chapter 18 was called Life or Soul, which, summarizes the whole book of what's more important, the life or the soul. And that it goes to show you how Western cultures, like the doctors and like the hospitals, they felt like saving a life is more important and giving that person medication in order for them to stabilize. While for like the Hmong culture and other cultures, they say the soul is more important of saving because you're trying to figure out what is causing harm in the person's soul and what can they do to heal the soul or get the soul back into the person. I think the ending was very bittersweet because even though Leah is in an unresponsive state, she has outlived like in 15 years, I believe, which is a long span of what her condition is, because I think for her condition it's normalized that you only have like 5 years, but she outlasted the 5 years, which I think is yeah, like she's able to be with her family. But I guess it kind of remind me of what we were talking about in class today about euthanasia or like assisted suicide, where would a culture like the Hmong would be able to adapt to where they're able to give euthanasia or that assisted suicide to their family that's like unresponsive like Leah is. That's what I was curious about. And additionally, I found it I was happy to know that the hospital, or like the hospital that that Leah and her family was, the MCMC, has undergone significant change that helped accept the Hmong culture and the Hmong people into going into the hospital more, because they're now more accepting to what the Hmong culture is in, and that the Hmong's readiness to visit the hospital without harboring serious suspicions have substantially expanded as a result of this acceptance of shamanistic healers. So, like I said before, this was a bittersweet ending, and like the book was it was a roller coaster of emotions and understanding two sides of cultures. But in the end, I'm glad that the hospital was able to change their own ways of I guess I'm glad that they able to accept people's beliefs and cultures when going into the hospital without them having to feel isolated or alone in this. And I'm glad that Leah was able to be with her family and able to use the traditional Hmong manners when it comes to treating her. I think that's what overall she needed, was her connection to her family and her culture. Thank you.